Today I'm going to be doing a video on assembling the Tamiya differential rear axle assembly that fits all the semi-trucks like the King Hauler, the Cascadia, the Aeromax, the Globeliner. I've got a few tips and tricks, so let's get started. Alright, I want to talk about building these rear differentials for a Tamiya semi-truck. These are out of a Cascadia, but all the Tamiya semi-trucks use the same parts. Basically, you've got a pass-through differential and then a terminator. So in the truck, drive shaft comes in, you have a short drive shaft between these, and it terminates. If you were going to build a 3-axle truck, you'd have one of these in front, and you just keep chaining down the line. I want to kind of just show these parts before I put them together because I'm going to use a different type of grease, and it's kind of messy. So these drop in a washer, gear drops in here. Do it this way. And then our spider gears just fit over these shafts. And drop in like this, and then another set goes on top the same way, and the cover goes on. So this gives you your differential action, and it's an open diff. So if the truck encounters a lot of rough territory, it can lose traction. Some people, that little devil's supposed to be this way. Some people like to lock up diffs on, especially on rock crawlers and things like that. A semi is not appropriate for locking the diff. It's designed to run on smooth ground, and you need the differential action so when you go around a corner the inner tire and outer tires don't scrub. But I like to slow down the action. So instead of using the Tamiya ceramic grease that comes in the kit and they recommend, I use this real heavy marine grease. This happens to be triple guard grease. It's waterproof, it's very thick, very gooey, but not super gooey. So when we put it together, and you'll see it in a minute, it will slow the action down and give me a little bit more of a traction on rough ground. Also, the sintered bronze bushings do not belong in anything new. Bearings are so inexpensive now, I'm going to replace all those with sealed ball bearings. The Tamiya kit had a few bearings that weren't sealed, and I will use those on the inside bearings, and the sealed bearings will go out where there's a chance of dirt coming in. So that's how we're going to put that together. I'm going to get this ready and prepare for some icky grease. So we'll use this heavy marine grease like I talked about. We'll just put a little around here. It's thick. And it's gooey. Slide a little around there. One thing good about it is when you get it in here, it sticks parts together. I told you this was going to be messy, and I'm not lying. I'm going to shove that gear down. I'm going to stick some more in here. This is great stuff. Drop in the spider gears. You can just see it's just ooey gooey wonderful. Another gear goes on top. And I'm going to add a little more grease. I want to pack this thing full. Add a little more grease in here. Oh yeah, that's quite nasty. Another washer. And then that goes on. Okay, So there's one of them, and I've got it packed as full as I can get it. We're going to screw that together in a minute, but since my hands are greasy, I'm going to go ahead and grease up the other one and then put the screws in them and then clean my hands off and then finish with the assembly. These are packed full of grease now. Cleaned them off. Since we're going to use ball bearings, we don't need grease now on any of the shafts, but we do on the gear surfaces, so I put grease on them already. And that's just the Tamiya ceramic grease. So pretty much it's just push the ball bearings in. We use these sealed bearings on the case. And then the non-sealed bearings that came with the kit we'll use on the inner axles. Alright, got our bearings in there. Again, since we're using bearings, we don't need to grease the shaft. Just drop those shafts in. Our differential axle drops in like that. You can see how the bearings line up in this holder. Put a bearing over each end. And that's turning our shaft just fine. Everything feels real smooth. The other side on here. Everything looks good. Spins very freely, just like it's supposed to. And we'll use bolts and nuts to put this assembly together. Come back in a second and we'll finish that up. Alright, got my axle all bolted together. A couple of final steps. There's C-clips in front of each bearing. They keep the bearings from popping out. You can see I already placed them on the axles and the other side. And then there's a joint cup and a set screw. Now, on many of the Tamiya kits, they've changed the design. The instructions call for a 3mm screw, but you will find this bag in your kit that says notice, and it has some longer 5mm long set screws. You need to use these. So if you have a kit that has this notice in it, make sure you make a change in your instructions and use the proper screw. They deepened up the cut in the shaft, and so if you use the shorter screws, they won't tighten up. They'll just rip the final couple threads out of the cup. Alright, so that finishes it up. Oh, this operates really smooth. And now we'll be installing it in the truck. It goes like drive shaft, and it'll look like that when we get it put in. So that's a Tamiya Diff, and remember, the heavier grease really makes your truck perform better. Thanks so much for watching.